Welcome into the Solo Shot Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Dom Manna. Happy Solo Shot Saturday, everyone. Here from the ETV Community Media Center. Appreciate all of you who took some time this week to tune into and or donate to the ETV Great Give Telethon. It was a lot of fun and honor to be part of. Was a big part of the stage setup, the graphics, and I also ran one of the cameras that evening. For Sarah Dunn, Brian Larney, who both rocked the stage, were incredible, as well as drummer Mickey Curry, who is of Hall & Oates fame, played with, a ton of legends, came in here, East Haven native, to talk about both his career and his East Haven ties. So it was really, really cool. I'll leave the link to the stream in the description below for anyone who didn't catch it live, but appreciate all of you nonetheless. Now, this show this week is kind of an inverse of how I left last week's show, where I was talking about, Tim Kirkshin saying that every day you watch baseball, you're going to see something you haven't seen before. But there, on the flip side of that coin, there are some things that just never change. And at least in my lifetime, there's been a clear disconnect over in Pittsburgh about what it takes to win and sustain a winning culture. And Derek Shelton, the Pirates manager, was fired, saying that they need to fix this now, that they need to make the right moves going forward. Ben Cherington and Paul Skeens both saying a change was necessary, but to me, a 12-26 Pittsburgh team is not super out of what I was expecting this year. 10 games back of the Cubs in the Central. Shelton had been the manager for the Pirates since 2019, and he went 306 and 440 in his 5 change seasons as the Pirates manager. Not laughably terrible, but definitely, when you have 100 more losses than wins, you're not doing a great job. He put a lot of work into this Pirates team, trying to reset the culture, trying to bring things back to winning in Pittsburgh. And, some things are not on Derek Shelton. And it's the fact that, the Pirates are one of 6 teams in the last 2 off seasons to spend less than $100 million. Combined between both off seasons. This Pirates team, was supposed to make the playoffs on pitching this year. But before the season even started, Johan Oviedo and Jared Jones went on the IL. That's 2 very talented young arms. Bubba Chandler, who's one of the top pitching prospects in Major League Baseball, is still in the minor leagues. And while Andrew Heaney has actually been pretty good as a 1-year rental for them, that will almost certainly get traded at the deadline. You have Paul Skeens, who's been good, but not quite as dominant as he was as a rookie. Mitch Keller is doing his thing on the mound, former All-Star. He's a good but not great player, a number 3 arm. And then you have guys taking the ball that probably shouldn't be if you're trying to turn things around and win, especially with how many arms were available on the trade and free agent market the last couple off seasons. But when you have an offseason where Adam Frazier and Tommy Pham and bringing back Andrew McCutchen are your big moves, and I called this out before the season started, this is not out of the ordinary. And I feel bad for Pirates fans. There's been plenty of Pirates fans that have been chanting sell the team to Bob Nutting. Clearly, it's all about the finances over there. It's not about the results. And I hope that they don't waste this controllable period they have for Skeens, Jones, and Bubba Chandler, 3 potential frontline arms, young arms. They need to really have a change, top to bottom. And, Ben Cherington, who helped build that pitching depth, he helped the Red Sox win the World Series back in the day. as well and restock their farm system. Maybe he's not the guy to win it all. But things need to change with Pittsburgh in terms of their mindset. They not necessarily saying they need to, spend outside their means and do X, Y, Z, but they need to make the effort to try to win instead of just rolling out the same guys top to bottom and just expecting different results. That's the definition of insanity, people. So I wish Pittsburgh the best of luck. I don't think that they're going to turn things around and, make the playoffs with this team as currently constructed. But it's pretty clear, as a team that's 26 out of 30 teams in payroll on opening day, that this Pittsburgh team is not ready to take that next step. And it's going to be at least another year or two of, being aggressive and adding legitimate pieces to this team to do so. So I think that it's going to be really, really interesting going forward to see, what they're able to do in the interim. And, when Bubba Chandler makes his debut, how do they look as opposed to, the 2026-27 Pirates outlook hopefully is brighter than the 2025. I'm wearing the Boston City Connect Devers jersey today. The Red Sox, another team, some things never change. To an extent, things did change and expectations were high for the Boston Red Sox this year. A lot of people had them winning the division or representing the American League in the World Series. I didn't have them that high, but I did have them as a playoff team. And right now, they're playing 500 baseball. I've seen this story before. It doesn't matter that Alex Bregman is, an MVP candidate right now at the hot corner for you. It doesn't matter that Christian Campbell is, a leading candidate for Rookie of the Year at second base, which has been a void of a position for the Red Sox since Dustin Pedroia went down with his career-ending injury, or that Garrett Crochet has been traded for and has been, the ace that you've been missing from this team. The Red Sox are still playing 500 baseball, and part of it, I think, is just the identity, the attitude. Rafael Devers obviously made a ton of headlines during spring training when Alex Bregman was signed, saying, I play third. Like, I'm not going to move off third for Alex Bregman. I'm not going to switch to first base. I'm not going to be the DH. I play third. After, calling out ownership and the general manager a few years ago, saying they know what we need. He called them out again when they signed Alex Bregman, who, has been a fantastic addition to this team. I would hate to see where the Red Sox are without his contributions currently. But now Tristan Casas, who, was really struggling this season at the plate and in the field, goes down. He's out for the season. And the Red Sox have no clear backup first baseman. They weren't platooning him with another clear first baseman. They have Romy Gonzalez and Abraham Toro right now playing that spot. And everyone's looking at Rafael Devers saying, well, if Rafael Devers moves to first base and opens up the DH slot, the Red Sox can bring up Roman Anthony or Masataka Yoshida and, not miss a beat and maybe even improve their offensive output from doing that. And Rafael Devers, again, when asked about it, had pushback clearly about the general manager, Craig Breslow, saying that, it's his job to replace, that position and that he can't make that adjustment. He just made the adjustment to DH. And as we know, to start the season, Rafael Devers was on a historically bad strikeout pace. And now he's hitting monster home runs and looking like the Rafael Devers of old at the DH spot. So I do understand him saying, comfortability wise, you just got me comfortable here. Why move me again? But I think if things had truly changed in the Red Sox organization from, a team that's just going through the motions to a team that really lives up to these expectations that are now on the table, Rafael Devers would have immediately started playing first base. And I know he's never done it in his big league career, and I'm not saying it is easy. In Moneyball, the actor who plays Ron Washington, when sitting down with the one and only Scott Hatterberg, Chris Pratt, is like, tell him, Wash, it's incredibly hard to learn first base. It is. There's a ton of plays that happen at first base, whether the ball is going to you or being thrown to you on a bounce or on a straight line or outside or inside or up high or down low. You have to be, ready for cutoffs and backing up in a different position. So there's definitely a learning curve for first base. And Rafael Devers goes out there. It's just like, well, if an outfielder goes down and they're going to ask me to play out there too. I understand Rafael Devers' point that, it's about respect, and he got moved off of his spot, that he was the third baseman for the Boston Red Sox. He was locked up as, the face of the franchise, $300 million contract. But when a catastrophic injury happens and it's a position that you physically can play, I'm not saying that he's going to be a Gold Glover. I'm not saying that there's not going to be a learning curve. He's not going to have some struggles, but he has the athletic ability to play first base. It's not, they're not trying to put him in center field. I just don't understand where the pushback is from. It's bad vibes, it's bad energy, and it's not what I want to see as a Red Sox fan when the expectations are finally back, when I'm expecting this team to win and to be, contenders. It was said that, Tom Henry and Sam Kennedy flew out to Kansas City to have, a meeting with Rafi Devers. I'm assuming that means that they want to talk through his frustrations and tell him that we need you to play first base. We're not going to put you at first base this weekend, but you need to take some reps, get comfortable enough, and play it for us down the stretch because we need you there. We don't have a pipeline of first basemen. There's not an exciting first baseman out there on the open market. There's, concussed Anthony Rizzo and Dom Smith. You can't put that kind of guy on a team with this expectation level. Adding a Yoshida or a Roman Anthony to this lineup in replacement of Casas is a much bigger upgrade than Toro or Romy or Dom Smith or Anthony Rizzo. Even though Tristan Casas was playing at such a low level that those guys could be upgrades, it's not as big of an upgrade as a Yoshida or a Roman Anthony can be to this Boston Red Sox team. So there's been a lot of talk about trading Rafael Devers. I am be shocked if that happened. I don't think that it's going to get to that point, but the vibes are horrendous right now when you have a player that, signed long-term, has been one of the greatest hitters in your franchise's history up to this age, not immediately being with the team. He did say after bashing Craig Breslow and the organization a little bit, that, wherever they play me, I think I'll do a good job. So he knows that eventually it's going to be out of his hands, but he is pushing back to start, and it's not what you like to see. A lot of people are pointing to, all the other superstars that have changed positions, whether it's due to an injury or due to an addition on the team or subtraction from their team over the years. But in this Boston Red Sox clubhouse, Kyle Schwarber, who at the time was older and I would say less athletic than Rafi Devers, was playing a first base for playoff games for the Red Sox in 2021. The last season where the Red Sox had real juice, had a real chance to contend and win a championship. Kyle Schwarber, who had never played first base in his life, former catcher turned outfielder DH, hadn't played in the infield in years, and he played first base at a competent level, nothing crazy, for playoff teams in Boston. Rafael Devers needs to get with the program. I hope that there isn't, this big divide in the clubhouse and in the organization because of this. I understand Rafael Devers' frustrations. I understand there being a level of respect that needs to be had for a franchise player. But this isn't, poor planning necessarily by the organization. Tristan Casas rupturing his whole leg was not part of the plan, but this Red Sox team needs to adjust. And, Could they put a Christian Campbell at first base? Could they put, the suggestions have went on and on. Could they put a Connor Wong at first base? Could they put a Wilyer Abreu at first base? I don't know if any of those are really the right call, because then you're subtracting from another position. As opposed to right now, Rafael Devers as the DH is not necessarily a position. It is a spot in the lineup, but it's not, something that can't be a rotating door. I'm not saying Rafael Devers will play first base every day, but if they get him in there, playing first base 70% of the time the rest of the way, and have Romy Gonzalez or Abraham Toro or, whoever else play the rest of the games at first base, and have Rafi get some off days or DH days, I think the Red Sox would be a much better team going forward. Call Roman Anthony up, bring Yoshida up, whatever you need to do, get this lineup firing, add that injection. I think Roman Anthony or Marcelo Meyer would be a much bigger injection than a Yoshida, but regardless, it adds another great bat to this team as opposed to another mediocre one. And another thing that hasn't been changing in baseball, some things that don't change, is the AL Central not getting our respect. I remember last year when there was 3 playoff teams in the AL Central, a lot of people, instead of crediting those AL Central teams, myself included, because no one was picking there to be multiple playoff teams out of the AL Central, let alone 3, that, it was more so because of the AL West and AL East underperforming than it was the AL Central overperforming. And here we are again in 2025. It's a 40-game sample size. It's nothing. It's not nothing at this point. And the AL Central is the only division outside of the NL West, which by far is the most stacked division, that has 320-win teams. That's nothing to scoff at. That there are legit teams in the AL Central, and I gave them credit this year. I picked 2 teams to make the playoffs from the AL Central again. I was wrong with the Twins, it looks like, but the Tigers have been absolutely legit. The Royals have been, really surprising me with how their lineup outside of Bobby Witt Jr. is not hitting well, and they're still performing how they are. The Central Division needs some respect, and I know they're smaller market teams. I know they're lower payrolls. I know they're not as deep in terms of stardom. You look at each team and there's 2, maybe 3 star players per team, as opposed to these bigger market teams where there's 5, 6, 7 guys who are considered wow, that's someone who you might buy a ticket to go see play. But these AL Central teams are legit. They are winning, and, they're capitalizing on these bigger market teams in the East and West that, are content with where they are and aren't, trying to really improve and move forward and stay status quo. And that's, I think, what the new playoff format has done, is it's allowed teams to be complacent. It's allowed teams on the margins to have a real shot. And the parity in baseball right now, as much as people like to talk about the Dodgers being, the one and only, mega team in the sport, there's a ton of parity in baseball right now. And I'm very here for it. These teams, the Guardians, Royals, Tigers, they deserve respect nationally. And I think that at least the Tigers are getting it right now. But the Royals and Guardians deserve national respect as well for how competitive they are and how well managed they are. And it's really, really fun baseball to watch. Here at the Solo Shot Sports Podcast, we have to throw back down the third base line to this day in baseball history. There was quite a bit to pick from here on May 10th. Some positive Pirate moments. The first Major League game ever played in Pittsburgh was on this day in 1882. Then there was also the first pair of twins to ever play for a Major League Baseball team together, the O'Brien twins, on this date in 1953, who historically have the first multiplayer Topps card in the 1954 Topps set. The O'Brien twins made their debut together on this date in 1953. Even modern history, Felix Hernandez on this date in 2015 became the fourth fastest pitcher to ever get 2,000 strikeouts. And surprisingly, on that list, 3 of the 4 names did not get to 3,000 strikeouts, despite being among the fastest at 2,000. And that being Burt Blyleven, who just fell short of 3,000, and Sam McDowell, who has over 2,500 strikeouts as well. Great pitcher, Blackjack Sam McDowell. Chris Sale has since cracked that list as well later on, but Felix Hernandez on the Hall of Fame ballot, getting some consideration from people. Got to 2,000 really fast, but the wheels fell off in his 30s before he could get to 3,000, which would have made him a lock. But to me, there is a different pitcher that deserves some respect because his name gets completely lost in the history of baseball. And it's on this date in 1970, Hoyt Wilhelm became the first pitcher in Major League history to appear in 1,000 games. So Hoyt Wilhelm, Hall of Famer, reliever most of his career. He has 46.8 career WAR, 143 wins to 122 losses, a 2.52 career ERA. He was a 6-time All-Star. 8-time All-Star, was part of the 1954 Giants that won the World Series and has 2 ERA titles in his tenure. Absolutely amazing career. His first ERA title was as a 29-year-old rookie in 1952. He pitched in 71 games, 2.43 ERA, lowest in baseball. He finished 4th in MVP voting and 2nd in Rookie of the Year. Throughout his career, he had a .540 winning percentage, pitched in 1,070 games, and was one of the first relievers to strike out over 1,000 batters in his career. There's now 14 such names that have done it, but Hoyt Wilhelm was among the first. A player that just completely forgot about in his early career with the Giants. And you're like, wow, 1,000 games in his rookie year was 29. He pitched 16 games at the age of 49 years old for the 1972 Los Angeles Dodgers. He was, a guy who completely gave himself to the game of baseball, 20-year career as a reliever, mainly. He was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame by the baseball writers in 1985 and was just a true legend of the game. A guy that doesn't get the love, relievers don't, because, pitchers don't get the love because position players play every day. But relief pitchers pitch even, less innings, sometimes less often. And for Hoyt Wilhelm to have the career he did, a marvel of longevity, he deserves some love, and I would recommend checking out his Baseball Reference page and giving him some support because he played for so many teams throughout his big league career from 29 to 49. And even in his latter days, he was still pitching to a respectable ERA. In 1971, he had a 1.02 ERA at 48 years old. What a legend, and a guy that truly deserves the throwback third base highlight. Rounding out the show here, the Dodgers in extra innings yesterday were able to take away a win from the Diamondbacks and stay amongst the top of the division there in the NL West. Shohei Ohtani is unbelievable. One of the best players, you will ever see. And they stay one game ahead of the Padres in that division. Like I said, this division has 4 20-game winners, the most in baseball. The Rockies, worst record in baseball, 32 losses. The Dodgers' dominance to a lot of people is getting old already. They're sick of it. A lot of haters out there. I try to appreciate greatness while we can see it. And the fact that they're doing this without Blake Snell, without Clayton Kershaw, with other players missing time, it's truly remarkable. Shohei Ohtani hasn't pitched an inning for the Dodgers yet. The Dodgers' dominance is something that also never seems to change. They're an organization that cares about winning. They're an organization that cares about developing their farm system to backfill their depth and their talent. And it's something that I'm going to continue to commend here on the Solo Shot Sports podcast and enjoy to watch, because, the Dodgers, whether they're throwing out a Dustin May or a Tony Gonsolin or a Ben Gasparius, or it doesn't matter where they get these arms, they're shoving. It doesn't matter where they get these hitters, they're hitting in Dodger blue. The Dodger magic is real, and it's the culture, it's the organizational structure and gelling that the Dodgers have, that teams like the Pirates and the recent Red Sox and all these other struggling teams across Major League Baseball don't seem to have year to year. The Dodgers have it. And that's really what makes the Dodgers dominance. It's not just the names on the backs of the jerseys. It is the structural integrity from top to bottom, ownership to Andrew Friedman, to Dave Roberts, to the clubhouse. Guys that want to win, guys that are put in a position to win, good vibes all the time, no matter how low things get, no matter how good their division gets behind them. They stay strong. They never give up until all 27 outs have been delivered. And sometimes, like last night, into extra innings. I appreciate each and every one of you for spending your Solo Shot Saturday with me. Scott, Will, everyone that's in the chat, thank you so much. For those of you that catch this later or enjoy the show, make sure you like this video and subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. It really helps me out. And remember to share the show with a friend who loves the sport of baseball as much as we do. I'm Dom Anna, and I'll see you guys next week.